I will tell you that I found a lot of what Israel has done over the last few years questionable. But now that they have come in second, I'm swayed. Personally,
What do you think about the whole debate about, people get very exercised about whether you should ban Israel from a singing competition like Eurovision, or ban them from competing, like Iran might be banned from the Soccer World Cup, and so on. What do you feel about punishing countries who may be engaged in military conflicts? People would argue back, well, hang on, America's engaged in an action in Iran, which many people view as illegal, for example. Should they be banned from hosting a World Cup?
To me, it's all about money. And if people are really, upset about something going on, you have to cut off funding. So I think at this point, until we can rein Israel in, we can't fund them anymore militarily. I think that's becoming a mainstream view in my country. I don't think we care about a song contest. I think people have to stop with the song and dance contest and banning people from the pie eating contest. Who really cares? It's about the money and it's about the funding. So to me, it's like it feels good to say, well, they can't compete in Eurovision. To me, it's a completely pointless exercise.
Why is it that Israel is becoming increasingly unpopular as a country in the United States, to the extent that 60% of Americans now have a negative view of Israel? That would have been unthinkable 20 years ago.
I think people feel very uncomfortable about the nature of the relationship. I think Netanyahu clearly has a political agenda that we don't feel benefits America. He's constantly in the White House convincing Trump that agenda is part of whatever movement Trump has created, this populist movement. Nobody agrees with that. That there's a very small group of people. And one of Trump's best ideas, because I grew up during the Iraq War and Afghanistan, was that we should stay out of unwinnable foreign conflicts and focus on the economic well-being of the American people. And that's been completely thrown out the window.
Which is why I don't understand this whole Iran thing from a political, never mind anything else, from the political economic aspect of this decision by Trump. And I said it from day one. There seemed to be no clear end game here. Was it regime change? Was it preventing nuclear weapon? Was it this other? But here we are, several months into this thing now. No sign of it ending, no sign of any regime change, no sign of the people rising up. Iran suddenly discovering if they can just control the Strait of Hormuz, they can hold everyone to economic ransom. And if they pop a few rockets up at their neighbors, they can damage their business models potentially for a very long time. And here's Trump, never more unpopular in the polls personally. The economy is really struggling from this. Cost of living is going up again when it was coming down the right way. And he's got midterms in November. And you think, none of this makes sense to me.
None of it makes sense. I feel as if he thought he had to do it. And for whatever reason, people can make up their own mind.
Do you think that was pressure from Netanyahu?
I think it was pressure from Netanyahu.
Yeah, I do.
I would say that that's a pretty rational way to think about it. I don't believe that Trump thought this was in America's best interest. I think he was kind of convinced one way or another to enter the war without a plan. I mean, the article in the New York Times with Jonathan Swan and Maggie Haberman, they're great reporters. You have, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. You have CIA. You have people going, this is not going to be easy. And we probably cannot affect regime change. But you have, and basically saying the Israelis oversell, Mr. President, that's what they're doing. And they're talking to Trump like a real estate developer from New York. They're saying to him, they're overselling. They're using us. All of the words that should have popped in his mind and went, right, we are being, dragged into this. But he still went ahead and did it. So I don't know.
I think he regrets it now.
I think he regrets it now. And I think he thought it was going to be like Venezuela or like killing Soleimani or any of these things.
And also when you get into Tim, yesterday he made another post where he's talking again about annihilating everyone in Iran.
Yeah, it's too much.
It's like, that's number 6 times.
Too much.
It's the boy that cried wolf. It's the emperor with no clothes. If you're not careful, for the President of the United States to keep threatening Armageddon and then nothing happens.
And then we don't want to put him in the box where he actually does something insane.
Right.
So by saying this, and we go, well, you're crying wolf, we don't want to press him.
No, I agree.
We don't want to do that.
I'm looking at him, and I
agree with you.
I've known him a long time, and I'm looking at him thinking he now knows he's got to get out of this. But extricating the United States out of this is not easy.
No, I think he just should threaten them for the next 3 years. Threaten every couple of months.
Yeah.
Just keep pushing it, keep kicking it down, keep
threatening. You know what? It's actually not a bad strategy.
It's a great strategy.
Yeah.
Annihilation's coming.
Yeah.
It's all over soon. You won't have air to breathe. Whatever he's going to do, keep truth socialing it. Keep saying it. Don't do it. But I think that's the strategy now.
What's been your Trump journey arc from when he was, doing The Apprentice? I was on it, won it with him, to then becoming a politician, then winning that 2016 election, then
I think
coming out and then winning again.
I think there's the mass migration of people from one place to another is the biggest issue of our time. Whether people want to admit it or not, not everybody talks about it in an eloquent way, but it is the biggest issue of our time. How to assimilate people into an existing economic, political, cultural sphere is very difficult. Trump came out and talked about that issue, and again, in a way that offended a lot of people and drove a lot of people crazy. It's a big issue in the UK. Farage is about to potentially win with this issue, right? So he came out, and to me it was very interesting because the working class in the United States, and I think the working class here, feels like they've fallen behind tremendously.
Yeah.
And if you look at cities like London and New York, a lot of people are buying property that don't even live there. It's a boon for luxury real estate. It's a boon for finance. But really, people that, are, British born of all races, of all religions, but have called this country home forever, feel like they're losing ground. That was happening in the United States. Trump gave a voice to that, which no one else had. He also gave a voice to this idea that going around the world and wasting money on pointless, unwinnable, largely Middle Eastern wars was bankrupting America, saddling our children with debt. These were his two main salient points.
Have you voted for him at all?
I didn't vote in the last, no, I didn't vote.
You didn't first time
I was in Texas doing a podcast with Joe Rogan, and I'm registered in New York, so I was there election day. In New York, your vote doesn't really matter.
Would you have voted for him?
Probably, yeah. I think certainly the last time, I think Kamala Harris and Biden were a disaster. I believe that. But again, this turn to Iran, to interventionism, to me feels like the biggest betrayal of a political movement I've ever seen in my life.
And it's really interesting to me how it split the conservative right pretty well down the middle. Where you now have people lining up, whacking each other in a way that, again, would have seemed unthinkable a few years ago. What do you think is going on there? Is it the Israel issue?
Well, that's
pulling
a
them
big
apart?
part of it, but I also think it's preparation for the inevitability of what comes next.
Of life after Trump.
Life after Trump. And a lot of people feel Vance is not a viable candidate and he won't win. So obviously you look at a guy like Joe Kent who resigned, he clearly has political aspirations. Maybe Tucker does, I don't know. But there's a lot of talk about that. There's the preparation for what comes next.
Polymarket has J.D. Vance at 36% now, Marco Rubio 25%, Tucker Carlson at 7%.
Yeah.
We've had the host of The Apprentice serve 2 terms as American president. Tucker Carlson, whether people love him or hate him or don't even care about him, he's incredibly televisual. He's incredibly eloquent, fast-talking, inspirational to many people.
Yeah.
Is it unthinkable that someone like him could become the new face of the Republican Party?
Certainly not. I don't think it's unthinkable. I think it would really depend on if the country was going to give any Republican a shot after this. I think Trump's damaged the Republican brand in the near future for years to come. If the Democrats don't screw it up, which they can.
It's always in their locker.
It's always they can always screw it up.
And I don't see the thing is, I keep saying to people, I don't see who the new Clinton, Obama, that kind of left of center, appealing, charismatic, smart, politically savvy person
exists,
where is that person on the Democrats?
They need to not pop their head up, because if they pop their head up right now, they're going to get attacked. For whatever reason for the next 2 years. They need to stay wisely quiet up until the moment when they have to announce.
Because the thing
there's a few of those people. There's guys like Andy Beshear, who's the governor of Kentucky, which is kind of a red state. He's a Democratic guy. There are a few people like that.
I think strategically they're probably keeping their heads down.
I don't see why they'd pop their head up right now.
I agree.
I mean, right now, just let the Republicans do what they're doing, because it is kind of a dismantling of a coalition in real time.
Well, I honestly think if the Strait of Hormuz continues to be shut for another, say, 2-3 months, the knock-on effect on not just the US cost of living, but particularly things like food prices because of a lack of fertilizer coming through, that's all backed up, and they haven't really factored that in, but it's going to have a huge impact.
The economic impact from people that I talk to who are much smarter than me, no one is prepared for, and it will be global in nature, and it will be catastrophic. So I don't think Americans are prepared for that.
I agree.
We talked about that this week.
Could you imagine voting Democrat if the right candidate came out?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Have you done before?
Yeah, I voted for Bush once and Obama once.
Right. I've been similar in this country.
It seems to be, with Trump going into Iran, no matter who you vote for, you do seem to get a lot of the same foreign and economic policy in my country. You do seem to get military intervention abroad, and then kind of the tech and the financial sector dominating the domestic political agenda, no matter who's in there. And that's why all these tech CEOs are clustered around him in China. These are the same people that were with Biden and Harris, and censoring their websites to limit conservative speech when they were in. So they obviously view themselves as the actual government, and whoever the president is like a guy giving them a tour.
They might be half right.
I think they're more than half right.
You said a great line. You said the Democrats will win the midterms if they stop being insufferable CUNTs.
Yes, they just have to. It's in their nature. It's very hard for them, and I understand that. It's difficult. You know, I liken it to a fight with your parents. You know, my parents are divorced, but they would fight. And I don't want to make it a gender thing, but the fight would over, and then my mother would come in and go, and your family's a bunch of drunks. That's what they do. They come in after they've won, and they somehow wrestle defeat from the drunk.
But also, I think they've got to somehow completely unattach themselves to the woke ideology.
100%.
Because there are so many people like me, but I'm thinking about Bill Maher and Joe Rogan. I think probably you and many, many others who, you know, could easily be persuaded to mild Democrats. But some could be. I can sit on the fence either way. I've voted for both sides. But I could never vote for any party that signed up, for example, to the farce of trans athletes in women's sport. Totally. Simple things where you're just denying basic science or biology.
When you tribalize a society to the point where it's the opposite of civilization.
Right.
Civilization is a process by which people build coalitions based on shared values. The opposite of that is retreating into tribes and then eventually killing each other.
Yes.
So we're kind of regressing in that.
We're going back to, I read a book about this, and we're going back 2,000 years to when actual tribes would venture out, see people who looked or sounded different to them, and thought the only way to deal with it was to kill them.
That's right.
I mean, that's tribalism.
So I think if the Democrats came out and said, listen, we are not concerned with your race, your religion, your gender, your sexuality. We're concerned with whether you have health care, whether you can send your kids to college, whether you can retire, they win.
Funny enough,
simple.
If somebody came through with a genuine agenda that Trump was promoting as a candidate in 2024.
Totally.
But actually delivered on.
Actually delivered on it.
Because that's what I find inexplicable about the way he's suddenly pivoted with this whole Iran thing. Because in one fell swoop, because he got off to a cracking start, shutting the border down pretty well completely to illegal immigrants coming in was a masterstroke, which should have been done years before by Biden, but never was. You could take the wins and build off that, and slowly 100%. You're becoming more and more popular. But he's got people around him, I think, who've sucked him into this.
Well, there's the donor class. So the Democrats have a donor class, just like the Republicans do, and their donors are, you know, on the trans issue, they're incredibly extreme. For example, you're getting a lot of people who are not in the mainstream of American thought on that issue. So they are being pushed to the left on that issue in a very unhelpful way. You also have like a lot of the Republican donor class, people like Miriam Adelson, that have given Trump a lot of money, who are very fervently pro-Iran war and believe that regime needs to be taken out. And they started lobbying for that, I think, many years before it happened. So I think it was kind of understood that if we give you this money and you win again, we're whacking Iran.